Hello and welcome back to Asia Now. My name is Alex, and in this video we're going to talk about if the 7-second rule applies in the Philippines. If you don't know what the 7-second rule is, it's this theory that women will decide within the first 7 seconds if they're interested in you romantically. Let's take a look at today's question, read some answers, and I'll tell you my personal thoughts after. Does first 7-second rule apply to Filipino girls? In my country, we hold the opinion that the first 7 seconds of your first meeting with a girl decides everything. During those 7 seconds, she sizes you up and decides whether the man is in her liking or not. If her heart, intuition, inner feelings tell her that the man doesn't fit her, it is useless to try to carry on with her. All wooing will be in vain anyway. If a girl doesn't like you the first time, then she'll never like you. Forget it and don't waste your time on the girl who is not interested in you. I wonder if the same thing with Filipino girls. Does the very first date with a Filipina decide everything? Does the Filipina sort out her male partner from the very beginning and makes up her mind whether she's good for her or not? And if after the first attempt to get closer, she remains cold, then it means she didn't like you and there's no point in trying further? Before we get into it, this is not really a question that can be factored down into a yes or a no. I wanted to make this video mainly to see what other people had to say, get some insight from Filipinas, and also share my dating experience in the Philippines. Before we even get into the answers, firstly, this does not really apply to relationships usually. The first second rule from my experience and what I know is whether the woman's interested in you sexually, whether it's chemistry. Of course, you can grow into liking each other. So I think that's like besides the point. But let's take a look at some of the answers and we'll get into some more details in a second. Someone says, reading the first line, I thought you were talking about food dropping on the floor. I think that's the 3-second rule or something like that, right? If you drop the food within the first 3 seconds, pick it up. That's obviously a myth. As soon as it hits the ground, it's got bacteria and all kinds of stuff. I mean, I eat food off the floor, but that's just me. Don't tell anyone. Another person writes, haven't you figured it out, dude? You're the cash cow. They send you flirty girlfriend type texts and videos, chats, and you send them money. Now you have shown up there in person, which is very inconvenient to begin with, and you want to go on dates and have sex and meet the family. She probably doesn't really want you to meet her husband and 2 kids, and spending any amount of time with her is keeping her away from messaging her 4 other cash cows she chats to. It took her less than half of 7 seconds from when you said hi on a dating site to know that she have money she can get if she asks nicely. Ooh, okay, there's a little bit of truth to this. I can't generalize all Filipinas, actually all women. If you meet some people online, the easiest thing to do is get money from you without everyone wanting to meet you. So if you come to the Philippines after talking to a woman for a while and sending them money, there really isn't a reason for them to meet you if they're not interested in you. Because if they were interested in you as a person in a relationship, they wouldn't be asking you for money. These kinds of things happen in any dating site around the world. If a guy is willing to let a girl take advantage of him by exploiting him to send money, then, at this point, you're an adult. You should know better. Why send money online to anybody you never met? That's my principle. If you come over here, you meet the girl, you want to help her out, help her family, maybe treat her nicely, take her out on dates or, show her some nice things. That's a whole different story. But don't send any money online. I think that's where this is coming from. I wouldn't be happily married today if I went by those rules. There was absolutely no chemistry between my wife and I on our first date. She was a very shy and young girl from the province that hardly said a word. She was kind of cute, but there wasn't that wow factor. I was concerned about our age gap and the fact that she didn't talk very much. But she was probably the nicest girl I had ever met, so I returned to the Philippines 3 months later and gave it a second chance. And the rest is history. We've been happily married with a family for the past 15 years and living in Canada. This is when we met the first time and a more recent photo. I'll go ahead and share these photos because it is publicly posted, and I want to go ahead and introduce a happy couple, Canadian and a Filipina. Here's what they look like from the first time they met till now. I have to agree with this person. A lot of times online chemistry is very different than in real life chemistry, and it can be one way or the other. You can have excellent communication via text or phone calls, but when you meet in person, the chemistry isn't there. Or the other way around, online, you're not much of a talker or texter, but when you meet, it's like, sparks fly and you're just laughing and joking, everything. I would never live my life based on some rule that I heard or read about on some website, forum, or just growing up. You got to come here and do things by yourself, especially considering that in the Philippines, dating is very different than the West. And Canadian dating culture is very different than dating culture in the Philippines. Yeah, some girls will fall under the same category, but overall, I think there's a whole different kind of ball game out here. So personally, I have some like rules of my own that I just don't tolerate, such as disrespect to me or people that are rude to waiters and waitresses and just rude for no reason. I just completely cut that off and I just go on with my day. But overall, things can be sorted out. They can be ironed out, and you never know what things can happen. Like this dude right here, the second time you met, he's been married now for 15 years happily. We got a response from a Filipino girl who says, "Call me shallow, but for me, physical attraction and intellectual connection are very important on the first meeting. The first few seconds apply to the physical attraction. The rest applies to the so-called connection you feel for the guy. And at the end of the meeting, he will know if there's a second meeting." Perfect. I'm glad somebody else said exactly what I was thinking about regarding the first 7-second rule. Coming from a woman, usually you have to pretty much show your best, what's that word I'm looking for? You got to put your best foot forward, right? First impressions are everything. So you don't want to show up on a date if it means a lot to you. You know, maybe not really well groomed, or I don't know, some other weird thing going on. Maybe you're not considerate by, you know, maybe meeting her somewhere that's not convenient for her. I don't know what kind of dates you guys go on. My point is, the first time you meet somebody can make a big difference, because I know in the past I've always regretted not putting in effort. Maybe the first time thinking, oh, I'm going to see this person again a second time, and next thing you know, we never have that second chance. So that'll be my tip. Try to do what you got to do within the first day, and that could be anything, right? If you want to know the physical connection, go for it. Maybe try to touch her hand or give her a hug. I don't know, whatever you got to do. It's kind of weird for me to give dating advice because every single person is different. We're all individuals, so whatever works for you, do it. But I don't think the 7-second rule really applies in the Philippines, because a lot of women here are shy. They're a bit conservative. They may not have been on many dates. Maybe this is the first time in a certain area or restaurant. You don't really know, so I wouldn't put too much weight on that first 7-second rule. I want to read one more from a woman, a Filipino girl, so we get a better idea from their perspective. Are you even in the Philippines? If not, the most you would have is a virtual relationship. You have posted incredibly negative, condescending statements about Filipinas, so I can only imagine how you approach them. Ooh, shots fired. I don't know if she's talking about previous posts this dude has made, or this just general statement he's made about Filipinas, about the 7-second rule. Regardless, I'm going to go ahead and end that there, because this is a topic that it really interested me, because I want to hear different perspectives from locals and from foreigners. It seems like nobody's really going by the 7-second rule. One girl mentioned that attraction, which is true. You typically know in less than 7 seconds if you're attracted to someone, physically at least speaking. I mean, as men, we're pretty much attracted to anybody that walks, right? I'm just kidding. But like, we have, I think, a much larger window as men, what we're attracted. And I know I do. So, I mean, I'm attracted to a lot of people, but doesn't mean there's anything I'm gonna pursue or follow that, because physical is one thing, but to have that mental, emotional connection is a whole other thing. Leave your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think of this topic, the 7-second rule. If you believe in it, if you don't believe in it, if you're Filipino, if you're foreigner, whatever you want to talk about. If you take the time to write it, I'll take the time to reply. And that's it. If you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.